Rachel today around territory management. I just want to make sure that we acclimate everybody. Territory management specific with Map My Customers all relates to the goal of customer engagement. So everything that we cover today, vet it through that lens, how this could be a blessing to your outside sales team, how you can use these strategies to better serve your customers and give your outside sales team more success. So that long-winded intro, I get to work with outside sales leaders day in and day out. And I regularly come across stories that that sales leaders either have no idea what the actual visual display of the territories are, meaning they just assign based on maybe a county or a state. So JT's in North Carolina, he gets North Carolina. Mary's in South Carolina, she gets South Carolina. And then other sales leaders, sales ops, maybe they manually export lists from their core CRM and they import those into Google Maps in order to split territories evenly. One that's very labor intensive. It's time consuming and tedious, but mostly that's just based on account volume or the sheer numbers of accounts in the CRM. That's not strategically based on revenue or product lines or size of accounts. And then depending on the growth rate of that company, rep turnover, maybe that has to be done into export and import into Google monthly, quarterly, and most often or frequently annually. Two more use cases, and I promise I'll hand it to Rachel. One of the use cases I hear quite often is sales leaders get really frustrated when their reps could high-five each other as they pass each other in the same patch of land. So it's inefficient. It's not optimized for that rep to grow a reputation within that account patch nearly as quality as it could be. So expanding relationships and strongholds. Of particular interest, I really like this use case. Recently worked with a company where they found that 90% of all of their active customers were within a 52-mile radius of a rep's house. And so they ended up using this data to really do one of two things. They were evaluating the bandwidth of that rep relative to the density of accounts. In short, does the rep have the time to go beyond that 52-mile radius without sacrificing the current revenue base? And if the answer was no, there was enough accounts for that rep, it was a logical transition for them to bring in a new rep right at the cusp of that 52-mile radius so that they can attack the new account base. So those are just a couple of short examples that we run into regularly. The goal of territory management is to help you optimize your go-to-market strategy, maximizing customer engagement. So with that, Rachel, take it away on the platform side.
Thanks, JT. Hey everyone, my name is Rachel. Some of you might be familiar with me through some user research calls. I might be a new face to others. I am a senior product designer here at Map My Customers. So I work with the engineering team to do research and help build out the roadmap and decide what we're going to build and how. For this, I'll be live demoing territories as it is in the application today. For anyone who has territories enabled for their organization. And I'll be talking through some of the use cases that JT just mentioned as well. So just as a little bit of a background of, why we decided to take on a territories project and make territories a little bit easier to use and I guess more useful for you and Map My Customers is basically from customer feedback. Our old territory management experience was extremely limited. It was just kind of point and click, build some shapes on the map, and was really just a visual indication of around the area that your rep might be in. It didn't connect with assignment of those records. It didn't connect with sharing of those records very easily. And it didn't connect, most importantly, with the data that you had in Map My Customers, like easily being able to see the average or some revenue of the territory, year-to-date sales, or sales volume, It really just had that like raw count of accounts. So we wanted to expand the functionality and also, of course, make it lightning fast to construct and edit those as well. So with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen and I'll have you all follow along on the map here. Can everyone see this okay? Okay, great. So here we are on the map on the web application. Just a note, construction, editing, and review of territories is a web-only feature. Simplified territories can be viewed on mobile, but these are only the kind of the old simple territories, not the ones that are constructed with zip codes. You will be able to filter by territory from anywhere you use Map My Customers, whether that is mobile or web. So here in the map, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, you will see this relatively new action bar. If you have been aware of the updates to like alert badges and user locations, that's also where you access these as well as your color key. But I'm going to click on territories here and turn on my territories. So you see here, I've constructed lots of different territories for my organization already. And I will, so once you have them all set up, it might look something like this. Yours might be a little bit smaller than this. Several of these span multiple states, but it will look something along these lines. Just a quick note, you can have overlapping territories. They don't need to be right on the border. So you can overlap them if you'd like. If you have some like dual coverage based on, different product lines or different products, that is supported as well. And then for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to zoom in onto a territory called Mid-Atlantic. Now, when I want to enter a territory mode, there's multiple ways for me to do this. I can do it from the list here. So I could click on Mid-Atlantic here, or I can just double click into the territory itself. And now I'm in the Mid-Atlantic territory. Right now, just because the last way I was using this, I had my companies turned off, but you can turn on and off any entities on top of the map, depending if you want to see them or not. And you can also apply any filters. So JT was mentioning earlier, also doing some nearby filters as well to see really where the concentrated book of business is. You can apply those in this mode just as you can on any map view. So I can see on the right side of the list that I have all the individual accounts. I can see their product line, annual revenue on each of them as well, because I've customized that. And here's where you'll really start seeing the meaning. If I click data view, which some of you might be familiar with from lasso mode and table views, I'm going to get a quick view of all of my accounts in this territory, and I'll pick a more meaningful field like product line. And now I can see of the 902 companies inside my territory, what is the distribution of product sales? Is it product B, A, D, fill in the blanks for whatever that means for you and your org. I can also check fields like annual revenue, or if you're tracking something custom like year-to-date sales or year annual sales, you can see that as well and broken down by team. This is Catherine's territory. So you can see that she has kind of majority stake in all of these accounts. And then her manager, Rachel, might still own a few accounts here and there inside the territory as well. So if you haven't used data view yet, whether inside territories or in list views or from Lasso, I welcome you to try that out for the first time as well. This is usable not just in territories, but it is kind of how territories are quantified and measured in terms of performance. I'll pause there. Have you gotten any questions yet? No?
Nope,
Okay.
not yet.
All right, so I'll move on to kind of the more involved process here, which is actually constructing territories. And for this, I'm going to do that in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You can see I have a high concentration of accounts here. And to construct a territory, I'm going to go into territories on the left-hand side and click Add New Territory. There are two ways to create territories, one of which is using the territory builder, which is inside Map My Customers, and another way is import. Import is coming soon. This will allow you, if you do have existing territories mapped out to zip codes, to just import it as a starting point. And we'll make it a little bit easier to get started if you've already done kind of optimizations in Excel or a third-party software. For this purpose, I'm going to click on the territory builder and use the Smart Builder tool. If you see draw mode here, that's in reference to the kind of legacy point and click shapes method that we still support if that is your preferred way to build territories. When I'm in Smart Builder, I do have to pick what's called an area type. An area type is kind of one of those familiar geographic units to be the base unit of your territory. So you can construct in zip codes, you can construct using states. If you're in Australia, Canada, or United Kingdom, we also have similar geographic areas as well. The only thing to note is that for any individual territory, there's only one mode. So if you're building a territory for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it needs to be in one of these three modes because it's at the urban level. We're going to go ahead and build in zip code areas. I click Start Building. And you'll see here that I'm zoomed out. And one of your questions might be like, oh, wait, why do I see states? So one way we've made it more convenient to build territories in mass is to allow you to pick larger areas of zip codes or counties using its parent geographic area. So if I'm zoomed out like this, then I can, include zip codes, every zip code inside of Texas. But that if you were to export this or see a list of the territory bounds itself, it is solely based on the zip code geographies. This is just an easier way for you to construct them. And if I zoom in a little bit, you can see now I'm seeing every single county, and I can include zip codes within a county. So I'm going to continue zooming into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and you will see this split up further into postal codes. There we go. So now I can see any individual postal code as well. And I can opt to click to add and click to exclude. It's simple as one click here. Click to add, click to exclude. If I do that with a place with pins, you can start seeing here, you'll see the count of records in those bounds show. And at any point during the construction process, I can always click data view and start measuring the value of this territory. Just to get a lot of pins at once, I am going to zoom out a little bit and add it at the county level. And to reduce some of the clutter, maybe hide my pins for a second as I construct. So you can see I did make a click for every single one of those. But say I want to follow this belt between like Waco and Austin here as well. There's a quick way for me to multi-select areas. So if I hold Shift, and you can always reference these shortcuts in the top right corner. If I hold Shift and then click and drag my mouse, then I can select multiple areas at once. So I want to, get all these counties here, the suburbs, etc., all the way up to the border, the Texas border. Now I'm going to turn my pins back on and open up data view, and then I can see the value of this territory. Again, I can flip between other things like product line. This data doesn't have, I guess it isn't split up by product lines here, but if it were, then I would be able to see that breakdown here. And all right, I'm happy with this territory. I'm going to give this a name, Dallas-Fort Worth. And this is going to be Sarah's territory. And then also I did skip over this, but if I did want to select anything from a list, say I had a list of zip codes, I can open up the list here and open up any county and see what's selected, or even select additional ones. So maybe I wanted to select all of Austin there as well. I could definitely do that. Austin County. I can change the color. So any color I choose, I can make the territory reflect that, make it light or dark, and then bring the opacity down. Maybe I want them to be super transparent. Maybe I want them to be super opaque, and find what's best for me. And then I'll click create territory. And now I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth territory.
Rachel, this is super cool. We have one question open right now. Are building new territories live and visible throughout the organization? Or as an administrator, can I build territories in a test environment before pushing it live?
That's a really great question. As it is today, these are immediately shared with your organization. But I think that's a really great suggestion, and we'll definitely note that. Thanks, Doug. I understand the use case of maybe wanting to, create not just one, but multiple alignments to see what's best, and then experimenting with that before pushing it. And that's definitely something we're aware of. And I think that's a great suggestion, Doug. Any other questions on the process for constructing territories using Smart Builder?
All right, looks like we got one. Yep. So test or mock environment is a great idea. So +1 on
that one.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Let's see. Before we wrap it up, Kim or Justin, do you guys have anything to add here?
Yeah, one thing I'll add is just that with this new territory management module is a premium feature with Map My Customers. With Map My Customers, we're always trying to add new features. The data view is an example of that, to continue to add value and usefulness to your sales team. With this particular feature, it is not included in the base subscription of Map My Customers. So with that, if you are interested in upgrading to this and getting a more personalized demo or pricing, I am going to drop a link. We have a interest form that you can fill out. It's actually linked if you click on territories on the kind of the left side menu in Map My Customers, and you don't have this feature now, there'll be a place where you can click to get more info. But if you're interested in that, we'd recommend contacting your CSM or account manager, or you can just, if you don't know who that is, you can email our support team for additional input. So just wanted to make sure to point that out. And if you're interested, we would love to talk with you more and give you more information about it specific to your organization.
Awesome, love it. And for anybody who is listening but maybe not seeing, we did have a question that said, could list of names in a territory be exported? And Rachel responded, that's also on the near-term roadmap. So incoming along with that territory import, which is awesome. Okay, so Jay also says, we use a CRM software in conjunction with Map My Customers. Love to get names synced back into the CRM so we can target emails for a specific territory. That's a super cool use case, Jay. I love that. That's really neat. Anything to add there, Rachel?
Nothing to, I guess I can add. So we are tracking, like territories are going to be tracked as a column. So if I go to my company's table view and I add in a column for territories, I can see this on these views. I'll check with our integrations team on if that gets something we can set up for syncing back and forth between your CRM. We'll get you an answer on that, Jay. But you can show it as a column on this as well as on exports. So I guess is another thing as well, even though we don't allow for territory exports directly from the map, you can go into our normal export wizard and add territories to this table here and get the territory names, although not the alignment, the names itself for the records in this export as well. And then as always, with anything that we add into the tool, you can filter by territories as well. So if I go into universal filters and click on territories, I can pick from any of these if I want to see multiple, and it also automatically toggles on the shape for you. Nice. Jay, you said the current version does not have a territory as a field that we could integrate. Okay, we'll check on that for you. I think that's a great idea to make sure that's working.
All right, if that is all we have for today, thank you guys so much for attending. Hope you got a lot of use out of this build live and what is upcoming on the roadmap for territory management. Again, like Justin said, if you have any questions, please reach out to your CSM and we can talk about upgrading your